What's up, homies? What's up, homies? What's up, homies? Welcome to the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. We pick the brains of industry pros to unlock the trade secrets of homeownership. Our mission is simple: to turn everyday people into knowledgeable homeowners. Thank you all for tuning in to our first Zoom Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. I'm very lucky to have on me here today Amanda Hatherly. She is the CEO of BPI, the Building Performance Institute. To my HVAC and energy efficiency people, you are most likely familiar with BPI, but to my regular homeowners, I'm excited to introduce you to BPI if you don't know of it yet. It affects so much of our daily lives. There's so many programs and contractor programs that BPI is involved in that affects our lives as homeowners, and there's so much education that they're bringing to the people. But I don't think there's enough awareness about it with regular people. So very excited to have you on, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Thanks. It's so nice to be here.
Perfect. So yeah, we have our first Zoom guest, but we are super excited because I know you're going to bring so much information. It's tradition here in the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast to start off with just a little introduction about yourself, how you got into the industry, and then we can get into BPI as well. But we want to hear about you.
So I've been in this industry since about 2007 or 8. I started off as an energy auditor, going into people's homes and telling them how they might be able to fix them up. And then I ended up a few years later, just by chance, becoming the director of a training program that taught people how to be energy auditors. And we ended up being a training center for 8 different states for energy efficiency, water efficiency, for homes, for commercial buildings, and I did that for 13 or 14 years. And then I spent a couple of years working in California at a utility program that did a lot of workforce education training for homeowners and for professionals. And then more recently, about 8 months ago, I became CEO of BPI.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I can tell you a little bit about BPI.
I love hearing
people if they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what BPI is and what they're doing.
Yeah, so we're a national nonprofit. We've been around for more than 30 years, and we develop professional certifications and technical standards, all related to home performance and weatherization. And our mission is to support high quality, energy efficient, and healthy built environments by making sure that workforce, like the people that go in to do the work on your homes, have all the skills and the knowledge that they need. So we're supporting HVAC people, energy efficiency auditors. There's a huge group of people around the country who've taken BPI certifications and use BPI standards to do work in your homes to make sure that the work that they're doing is high quality and meets the goals of your goals and needs.
Yeah. So one of the terms that I fall back to, and I know that this resonates with you guys, is obviously we have our code standards, but what we like to try and stick to is to stick to the best practices. And what I found is BPI and similar organizations are the people leading, creating those best practices and teaching those best practices and just raising the bar and raising the standard, especially as the energy efficiency work is becoming more built into our code. What I found is that as it's more built into the code, people still try to find the way to do it, like the path of least resistance, and like I said, not like code minimum, but not the best practice. So BPI for Long Islanders, because we're a New York, Long Island based podcast, BPI is who's training the energy auditors that PSE&G, the electrical company, is sending into the homes to do the free energy audits, which is the first step to helping improve the energy efficiency of many homes on Long Island. It's a pretty successful program. So the energy auditors that go in there, they're very similar to like what I do. I'm a HERS rater, which is a different certification, but it's very similar. They are all building analysts or energy auditors, or is that a different thing, the building analyst?
Yeah, no, same. They're just 2 different credentials. One's building analyst and one is building analyst professional and one is energy auditor, but it's very similar.
Okay. Yeah, so on our end, all those energy auditors, they're certified by BPI, and they're doing continued ed and training. And myself as a HERS rater, I have some BPI certifications. Some of the better HVAC contractors and general contractors get different certifications through BPI. So you guys are really, on our end, you're really helping lead the charge of higher quality, especially in a world where we're focusing heavily on energy efficiency. There's definitely a wrong way to do it. So like when I had the opportunity to speak with you, I mean, extremely excited. I probably 6 or 7 years ago, I got my the building science principles certificate of knowledge that BPI offered, and that was like my first step in energy efficiency, which is something like I think we can collaborate on a post about, because I think every home inspector should get it. And even just homeowners who are interested in energy efficiency, the building science principles is a fun class that really is, like I said, the intro into this world for me. But when we spoke before, you mentioned you guys have put together and wanted to share with the homies, as we call them, the 8 real healthy housing principles. So I'd love for you to go over those points and get into the details of those.
Yeah, so we have an online certificate of knowledge, and it is called Healthy Housing Principles. There's lots of people all around the country that do training on it. We have a book that you can read if you're interested. But why healthy homes is so important is that we spend most of our lives inside our homes. And what most people, or many people, don't realize is that like the condition of your house can have a major impact on your health. So from like the air that we breathe in and the surfaces that you touch, homes can really support our health and well-being, or they can like start to wear it down. When I used to work at a community college on this big training program, we had a class that was the Healthy Housing Principles class, and people took it from homeowners, realtors, 16, 17-year-old high school kids, students, people, community health workers, electricians, and it basically goes through all the principles of healthy housing, and you start to look at your house really differently when you learn about this. So I'll go through the 8 principles, and stop me and ask any questions as I go, if there's something you want clarified. So the first one is keep it clean, and obviously keeping a house clean is a really powerful tool for your health. But it's because not only dust, but food crumbs and pet dander, they're not just messes in your house, but they also can like feed pests and trigger asthma, and harmful bacteria can grow. So the very first principle is just keeping your house clean, keeping floors clean, surfaces clean, soft furnishing clean, because things like dust mites can live in bedding, and there's not just that, but how you clean is really important. So the first keep it clean principle goes over all of the information that I mentioned and a lot more. The second one is keep it dry, because moisture is one of the biggest problems in a house. It can be outside, the rain coming in, roof drips. It can be inside from plumbing leaks. What a lot of people don't realize is like when you have a shower and you've got all that moisture in the bathroom, if you don't have a fan that's working, that condensation can build up, and it can lead to mold. And so the moist, wet, damp environments do things like exacerbate asthma. They can grow, mold can grow, and so keeping your house dry is really important. So obviously go around your home after the end of this podcast, go see if you've got any like plumbing leaks underneath the sink, that kind of thing. Another one is to keep it pest-free. So mice, roaches, ants, they all carry bacteria and they leave droppings behind, and those can cause allergic reactions. So one of the things people think is, well, I'll keep it pest-free and I'll just go spray chemicals around. But that in and of itself also can cause health problems. So there's an entire process that you can go through to keep pests out of your house. And it starts with sealing up all the entry points where pests might get in, cleaning up food and moisture, wet water sources where they are attracted to the food and water. And there's a sort of a pyramid of steps that you do. And then the very, very last one is, if you can't get rid of them, there's some type of non-toxic chemicals that can be used, but that's sort of like the last resort, and there's a lot of things you can do before you have to get to that. Another one is
Yeah.
the keep it contaminant-free. And, people bring in so many things into their homes. You buy something at the store, and when you get home and you open it up, you get that new smell. And like when you open up a can of paint, and that often is off-gassing really bad chemicals into your house that you're breathing in. Things like pesticides, I was mentioning, one of the problems with them is that, that's a contaminant. You don't want to have pesticides in your house because, you're touching the surfaces and inhaling it, and you're getting exposed also. And I used to like telling people that the side in pesticide is like the same as ecocide and homicide, and it just means killing things. So, you don't want contaminants like that in your house. You don't want smoke particles. You don't want a lot of the things that we just take for granted when we have them in our house. When you start looking at them and thinking about how they impact your health, and it's a big eye opener to start looking at even the household cleaning products that you're using. Another one is
the cleaning products is sorry, you continue.
No, go ahead.
So it's just with the cleaning products is one that is always, because it's like the intention is to try and keep the space clean. And I deal with it with a lot of parents where it's like we're trying to clean, but we don't realize that even overusing the cleaning products can lower the indoor air quality, which can lead to respiratory issues. So it's like, yes, even then, in that sense, the intention is good, but we could be having creating further issues in the intention to try and keep our children and ourselves safe and healthy. We could be creating other issues.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. And so that also kind of leads into another one, which is keep it ventilated, which means that you've got to have airflow for a healthy indoor environment, and you've got to have good ventilation to remove those pollutants and to remove moisture. Like I mentioned, like in a bathroom, having a bath fan to remove the moisture, having a fan in your kitchen, either a range hood to take out, all of the particles that are come out when you're cooking, all those odors, the pollutants that are in the air, and then just keeping fresh indoor air. So you need some way of ventilating your house, and some houses have good ventilation systems. A lot of people just rely on opening the windows, and often that's really not enough. So one of the principles is keep it ventilated. Another one that's important is keep it safe, and that's because like home injuries like burns and falls and poisonings are big health threats especially for children and older adults. And that means looking around your house to see that you've got smoke alarms and secure stairs and good railings, and so you don't have like trip hazards of carpets that have got like edges that you might slip over on, having good lighting and that type of thing. So going around your house and just seeing where could I injure myself by slipping and tripping, or a kid, or an elderly family member. Another one is keep it comfortable. And it's not just like having a nice comfy house for your mood, but having a comfortable house that is, it's not too hot, it's not too dry, it's not too noisy. That's really important because that impacts your sleep, stress levels, and helps with focus, recovering from if you're sick, you know that if you're in a nice calm environment with not cold and shivery, you're going to feel a lot healthier than if you're in a big noisy environment where it's really freezing cold or too hot. So keeping your home comfortable is another one. And the 8th one is keep it maintained. And that's really just going around your house and making sure that little problems don't end up as big problems. Like, you have a little dripping faucet or peeling paint, and, little things, maintenance around your house. If you keep up with them, you don't end up with these big problems where you might end up with mold growth or a hole in your house where pests now come in, areas like a wobbly stair that now you're tripping down because you never went and maintained that staircase. So that's the last of the 8. And it's, they're most of them are things that as a homeowner you can look at, read about, do yourself. There are some like keep it ventilated where it helps to have somebody who can come in and maybe do some tests to see, how much airflow you've got through your building. Most of them, I think, though, are things that if you were to either get a checklist or read the book or take a course, you can go through and do it yourself and check your house out. So those are the 8.
Yeah. I love the 8, and like you saying, 8 real healthy housing principles. And what I love about it is just what you were just saying is that it's 100% possible for pretty much every, not even just homeowner, but people who live in an apartment or
Renters.
people working in a workplace, schools. Everybody can apply these principles to increase, and you touched on even with keep it comfortable. And I've heard of the term recently of indoor environmental quality, I believe they refer to it as. And all of these things help raise that indoor environmental quality, which improves your life. And any person living in a place, and like I said, even not just living and sleeping in a place, but the place you work, some people spend more time at work than they do at home. You can apply all these principles to that in some degree. But I wrote them down, and I just want to touch on just my opinions on it, just because with the lag, I don't want to fall short. So I'm just going to go back, and so I had some notes. So the first one being keep it clean, and I love that that's number one, because that's number one for me when people ask what can I do as a homeowner to DIY. Like when people are concerned, like they want to start doing more for their house in order to start. I think keeping it tidy, keeping it clean is the simplest and one of the more effective things you can do for the least amount of effort. You know, it doesn't take special tools, it doesn't take special skills to keep it clean. Which most of these things also don't require special tools or special skill sets. It just requires a little bit of effort. And then keeping it dry. Keeping it dry is a huge one. We see it in our area. We have very humid summers. We have a lot of houses built on crawl spaces. There's no vapor barriers, so the first level in the summer is just getting very, very humid. We also have the other situation of oversized HVAC equipment in newer construction, which is short cycling and it's not pulling the humidity out. So humidity issues we're seeing more and more. A friend of mine, a partner of mine, he's a BPI energy auditor, and he also does some performance work, and he's seeing humidity issues in brand new houses that are even ventilated. They have ERVs, but it's a puzzle, and they're trying to figure out. And most of the time, it's probably just oversized equipment. But yeah, keeping it dry is definitely an effective method. And then we said with keeping it safe, keeping it comfortable, and keeping it maintained. Again, those are just such simple things that any homeowner can do, or anybody in any place they're spending a lot of time. It takes a little bit of effort, but those things, they go such a long way. And we think about efficiency, and we think about, even just health. People are like, buying healthy food is more expensive. Sometimes it is. But in these situations, there's a huge return on investment here, because it doesn't require any investment besides a little bit of time and a little bit of education. And you'll get a huge return because it's not a massive undertaking. You're not spending $50,000 for new overhauled HVAC equipment or re-insulating. It's just a little bit of effort, and it will improve your quality of life. And it's just something to stick to for your time as a good homeowner, as a good tenant, somebody taking care of a workspace. So I love it. I really love these 8 real healthy housing principles. I want everybody to learn them and start applying them. But you did mention that there's a few more that are the potential housing principles. So I'd love for you to get into that too.
Yeah, so I'll mention them in just 1 minute, but to circle back just a second to these, what you were talking about this being so important for your health, and there's a huge connection between asthma and being in healthy housing. A lot of kids who have asthma, it's exacerbated by pests and by moisture in your home, and it's so well documented now that just simple fixes around your house, stop maybe 3 visits to the emergency room a year for an average kid. That Medicaid in New York State is paying through Medicaid funds in Long Island for people to have, if they've got, I think, kids with asthma, and I'm not 100% sure of the details, to have a healthy housing assessment and then work come in and done using Medicaid funds, because it's so much cheaper to fix your house up than have kids go into the hospital, several times a year. So there's that great tie-in, I know, to, I think it's United Way Long Island that is working on that program. But anyway, yes, there are 3 more. And these healthy housing principles have been around. They weren't invented by BPI. There's a wonderful organization called the National Center for Healthy Housing. And they originally came up with these principles, and then BPI sort of developed the credential around them and the a big training book around them. But National Centre for Healthy Housing has just sort of in the last few months, I think, come out with 3 more. And one of them is keep it affordable. So it's to keep housing affordable, because then people can actually fix their houses up and afford to do some of these measures. One of them is keep it accessible. So it's making sure that the home is set up so that people can actually move around it easily. And the last one is keep it ready, which is around resilience. And so keep it, being ready in your home, that if you're in an area where there may be floods or fires, those type of risks, that you're ready to respond and your house is best set up so that you can manage it in the best way possible. So those are 3 new ones that have only just sort of been released. I haven't really delved into those as much, but the core 8 are the ones that have been around forever.
Those are great. And going back to talking about how the investment in the home upgrades, not only is it saving you the heartache and the headache of dealing with the medical issue, but there's also a cost to dealing with medical issues as well. I wish that I have some people in my life who work in education, they work with children, they work in schools, and they say it. They know that the indoor air quality in those schools is bad. I feel like if these principles were applied, real housing principles were applied to your average school in our area, how much less respiratory issues, or even not saying they'd go away, but how many less, like you said, visits to an emergency room, how many less kids with asthma are sitting out at recess because their asthma's flared up? Well, it's because they're in a low indoor air quality room for how many hours a day with no ventilation, with half our schools are built in the 50s over here, so who knows what building materials are floating around in the air there. And now their lungs are staying inflamed during the bulk of the time they're in school. If we can improve those areas by applying these principles, which are totally applicable. And what makes me laugh is the school board will approve $1 million and some nonsense upgrade, but we can't do regular maintenance, because this is really just a maintenance checklist to make sure that we don't have these issues in the school.
Yeah, and that's also that ties in also with that keep it ventilated, because one of the problems in school classrooms is when they don't have good ventilation and you're sitting in that classroom all day. By about lunchtime, you're kind of overloaded with breathing out carbon dioxide into that space. And the more carbon dioxide in the space, which isn't a poison or anything, it just means that it sort of slows you down cognitively. And all you need to do is bring in fresh air, and it perks you right up. And you could probably think about when you've been driving in a car, and if you don't have air coming in or fresh air circulating, like half an hour into driving, you start to feel like you're getting a bit sleepy, and you think, oh, I need to let fresh air in. And that's the same in classrooms. And I think a lot of the time, by lunchtime, kids just don't, their brains are a little checked out because the air quality is not good. And it's really easy to bring fresh air into classrooms, but I think it's chronic around the country that a lot of kids don't get that, and then they wonder why they're not doing well, in school.
Yeah, and the carbon dioxide one is interesting, and I think it's obvious to us in the building science world, because when you think about, some of these classroom sizes, there's 25 kids, there's an adult teacher, sometimes an aide. The classrooms are 25 by 25. And all those occupants, and in an elementary school, they can be in that classroom for 4 hours, 5 hour stretches. They're not always broken up. Some they're 2 hour stretches, 3 hour stretches. And like you said, if there's no airflow, the door's closed half the time, the windows are closed. Yeah. There's no ventilation. It's how high are the CO2 levels getting in there that can lead to like you said, that mind fog, on top of all the other indoor air quality pollutants that are building up in there. But that's one that's always interested me.
Yeah, and just so that people don't, because I know this confuses so many people when I've been teaching this course specifically, is people hear about like CO and they think that, which is carbon monoxide, and that is the one that is really poisonous. But CO2 is the one that you breathe out, and that one is not poisonous, except that it, in high concentrations, it definitely messes cognitively until you get fresh air again, and then your brain, you clear up your head.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely don't think the classrooms are filling up with carbon monoxide. That would be a much more urgent, immediate issue. That I think we do have. Hopefully, we have that one covered. Hopefully, there's some carbon monoxide detectors in there. But listen, they have science. They have Yeah, exactly. That's hopefully they have that covered. But you know what? Listen, we have carbon monoxide detectors, right? But
Yeah.
we have so many indoor air quality monitors, and we have all these trade classes, and kids are starting to learn in high school. They're starting to learn more about building science, and there's all sorts of different, like I said, building science related classes. I'd love for one of them to do a project to monitor the average classroom, especially elementary school classroom, for indoor air quality, and
Yeah.
see what those results are.
I'm pretty sure that Massachusetts or Boston, actually, they have air quality monitors in their classrooms, and you can go online and you can find your kid's school, and you can even drill down to the classroom and you can see what the carbon dioxide level is in that classroom. It might not be all of Boston schools, but there's a website. I went and looked at it a few years ago, and it was really cool. You could see some are really high and some are pretty low. And that'd be
Yeah,
such a great
yeah,
project to do, like in Long Island.
yeah. Like I said, there's a way for them to do it. They teach the older kids how to monitor a Haven setup, and they throw some they throw some monitors, some IAQ monitors in the classroom. It's all there. It's all there, and
Yeah.
we deal with I have a parent. I have three young children, and we'll move heaven and earth to make them healthy. But I do see it. I go in a lot of houses as a home inspector, and there's so many simpler, less expensive, less extreme things that people could be doing that will have just as big of an impact as some of those more extreme, more dramatic stuff. So that's why I love getting the awareness out there, because it doesn't always require moving a mountain to make a difference. Sometimes these things can be done. I think it's just more about consistency, because these things need to be monitored and taken care of, on the daily, on the weekly.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right. Well, I really, really appreciate you going over the healthy housing principles with us. I love your organization. Like I said, I'm a HERS rater, I'm energy efficiency, and just I'm a house geek in general. So I've always geeked out about this stuff, and I'm always looking at what BPI's got going on. So I'm always looking forward to the opportunity to collaborate with you guys. And if there's ever a similar thing, my network is all regular homeowners. So if there's ever more stuff we want to bring to the regular homeowner, we're here for you. I'm hoping to, like I said, get my network to learn more about you guys and to start following along and hopefully start applying the healthy housing principles. That would be great success for me. If my people can start following them just to start, who knows what could happen. So thank you so much
And we
for
have a
coming
good
on.
website,
Was
which
there
is
anything else you wanted to get to?
We have. Oh, just to let you know that our website is bpi.org, and there's a lot of technical information on there, but there is like a homeowner area. And, we've got contact information there, and if people want to reach out, if you've got a question, we have a locator tool for BPI certified professionals in your area. Feel free to reach out and connect, and anything we can do to help you all, we would love to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the information today. It was a great time talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on and being a guest on the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. Until next time, guys, stay knowledgeable.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you learned something. We're hoping to get some more great nationwide guests, so we're going to refine the Zoom process a little bit. But thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time, stay knowledgeable.